This is for our 330 class about building websites. And so the app that we're trying to build is a web app that basically is developed to give people more information about their music listening habits. So it'll pull from all the music streaming services you use. So if you use like Pandora and you use Apple Music, it'll like scrape the data from those websites and compile it and produce a bunch of metrics and statistics and graphs about your music listening habits. For example, it could tell you like what time of day you most often listen to it, like how many songs you've listened to in the past week, different stuff like that. And so it's basically just to like make you more knowledgeable about your own listening habits.
Cool.
Yeah. So we have like a prototype. This is like basically what our app's gonna look like. And so what we're testing right now is like how good and intuitive our interface is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm gonna give you like the homepage, and then I'm gonna give you a task to do. And so
Okay.
basically you're gonna read the note card, read the task out loud so we can hear it in the video. And then you're gonna like pretend like you're using our website to do the task. So you're just gonna be like, I push this button, and then I'll like give you the page that
Sweet.
happens. Okay. This is your first task.
Find the number of songs you listened to in the past month. I'm going to go to recent stats.
Oh.
Okay. Unique songs, minutes listened to, genres. I'm going to change it from weekly to monthly.
Yeah, there would be a drop-down menu.
All right, great. I'm clicking the drop-down menu and changing it to monthly. And they have the songs listened to, and this is from the past week. So, I think.
So it would be from the past month. Perfect.
Yes,
Thank you.
that was so intuitive and
Great.
simple. I like the graphics.
Great. Okay, next. Okay, you're going back to the homepage.
Back to the homepage.
And your next task is that.
Find the decade from which you've listened to the most music. Total times listening, music source. Okay, I'm going to go to recent stats again. Should have remembered that page a little more clearly. There's artists, genres listened to, songs, recently added genre. So I think I'm in the wrong section. Maybe I'll go to the search bar. Time of day you listen to most. Okay, I'm going to go back to the home menu and see if I missed something important. Turn to classical. Okay, maybe I'll go to favorites. Okay. Yes, exciting. I found it. Decades listened to. I'm really into 2010s and the 40s, which makes like absolutely no sense, but found it, and it was, once I got there, it was really easy to spot.
Perfect. Last task is this one.
Replace any graph on the dashboard with the number of unique songs you listen to.
Here's
All right.
the dashboard.
This I know how to do. Add a chart.
Exactly.
Yep, and I will probably click in the settings, number of unique songs.
Perfect.
Yes. See, that one was really easy. It was paying attention to the home screen that time.
I'm talking about the what we observed from our 3 user interviews. So overall, I think our interface worked pretty well. From our first task, which was find the number of songs you listened to in the past month, this one was overall a success. In order to complete this task, they essentially had to realize that there was a drop-down menu here to convert all these statistics from weekly statistics to monthly statistics. And the 3 users all found this drop-down menu pretty easily and understood that they would be able to change the weekly stats to monthly stats. And generally they all knew that that would allow them to see the total number of songs within the past month. So overall, it was a pretty big success. Evelyn, or one user, when she first heard the task, went to the recent stats page, but the stat is also on this page, so she was correct in doing so. The next task is find the decade from which you listen to, find the decade that you listened to the most in the past month. And this presented a lot of issues with our interface, and all of the users, when given the main page, were very unsure where to go. They all decided that decades should be, or they all first went to the recent stats page to look for the decade stat. So they all clicked on this button, which took them to this page. And when they couldn't find the recent stats, when they couldn't find the decades graph, they were confused and didn't know what to do. One user turned to the search bar to search for the word decades. Another user went back to the dashboard and sort of looked around in different buttons, but it was very unclear that it was very difficult for them to get to the final answer, the correct answer, just go in the favorites page. But once they did get to the favorites page, all of them found it very easy to spot the decades graph, which is right here, since it's pretty clear, and when looking at the chart, all of them found it very easy to read the chart and understand that the 2010s in this fake data set is the most popular decade listened to. The final task was to replace any graph on the dashboard with the number of unique songs you listened to in the past week. And so for this task, they were given the dashboard, and different users had different responses to this task. So our first user had a difficult time seeing this add a chart button on the bottom, but our second user found it very easy to spot, whereas our third user was a little confused about the task in general. And one user's first instinct was to drag a chart off the page, so to use this move button and essentially just drag the chart off the page and then look for an add a chart button. So then he proceeded to click this button and replace it with a new graph, but he was confused by what the move function would do. However, our second user very easily knew to click the add a chart button, select a new chart, and replace it. So those are our observations from our interviews. Now I'm going to talk about how we went about resolving these problems. So one common usability concern involved the naming of different pages and graphs. For example, it consistently came up that our graph names could have been more descriptive to remove ambiguity. This is particularly important for specifying the date range for each graph, because these can be changed and a user may forget what exactly he or she is looking at. So for example, if we have it on a weekly view, the chart's title should reflect that we are currently viewing the statistic as a weekly metric. A potential solution is explicitly specifying the date in the title or the axis labels. Another good suggestion from a user interview was adding a help button to each graph that has a detailed description of each graph. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit about potential ways to resolve these problems from our observations. So one common usability concern involved the naming of different pages and graphs. For example, it consistently came up that our graph names could have been more descriptive to remove ambiguity. This is particularly important for specifying the date range of each graph, because these can be changed and a user may forget which view he or she is looking at. A potential solution is explicitly specifying the date or title in the graph title or in the axis labels. Another good suggestion or another way to improve this ambiguity is to add a help button to each graph that has a detailed description of each graph. Additionally, our users were confused about the naming of our different pages and were unsure which to select when looking for a specific graph. This was reflected in our task to search for the decade that the user most listened to. To solve this issue, we could group our graphs into smaller pages that are more directly related. For example, instead of calling our favorites page favorites, we could call it a top 10 list, which is clearly the top 10 songs, top 10 artists, top 10 albums, and then we can move the other information on that page to a different page. That would allow us to use more detailed and specific titles and would make navigation simpler for our users.